Our key to what's happening on Capitol Hill with the big three. You've watched that all day here on FBN. We've been covering it thoroughly. The fact that Democrats gave the automakers a makeup exam, if you will, by letting them come back to plead their case, well, is that an indication that Democrats regard the support of unions as critical? Okay, that may be, dumb question, but check out this exchange from today's hearing.
If we write in the proviso that you don't get a dime unless General Motors and Chrysler combine, how would you react to that?
I'd be very willing to look at it. Seriously, I would prefer to do it in a way that Mr. Gettelfinger felt comfortable proceeding.
That means we get money to save Chrysler and the people that have worked there for 80-some years. I would do it.
The synergies that we've talked about here, I think that that's debatable, just how effective they would be. But you're right on the mark, though, when you said the concern about what would happen, because it would be unbelievable.
Well, Ron Gettelfinger there, the last gentleman speaking, not exactly saying no to a merger, but pointing out the job cuts. So will Democrats not push for consolidation because of his union concerns? Is a merger the answer to Detroit's problems? You saw the other executives from Chrysler and from GM saying that they would entertain the idea. Let's hear now from a billionaire investor in heavy manufacturing, including parts suppliers and steel producers, two key industries nowadays. And he invests in a lot more as well. Wilbur Ross joining us now by the telephone. Sir, I read some of your commentary about the auto industry, and you are not for a bankruptcy, even though you yourself have become very wealthy by companies going into bankruptcy and coming out stronger.
Yes, but I think the people who are proposing bankruptcy as a solution are not focusing on the specific problems that are peculiar to the automotive industry. If any of the car companies went bankrupt, the financing for their dealers automatically goes into default. So the first thing, government or somebody would have to substitute quite a lot of billions of dollars so the dealers could keep their inventory. Second thing that would happen, the car companies pay their suppliers on 45-day terms. That means each supplier has 15% of his whole year's revenue in receivables at a point in time. Nobody can afford to write off that much. So you'd have to provide, in the case of General Motors, $27 billion just to keep the suppliers current. Otherwise, the suppliers would start to go down, and all the car companies use the same suppliers, so that would mean everybody would shut down. The third problem is the warranties. People wouldn't be buying cars if somebody, namely the government, didn't stand behind all the warranties. So the fact is that a bankruptcy, if you did it in an organized fashion, would literally take a large multiple of the amount of money these fellows are asking for.
Mr. Ross, thank you very much for joining us. It's an honor to have you on the show, sir. Look, you've been credited with saving the U.S. steel industry in the 80s when you stepped in. You've also been credited with almost saving or helping hand to the U.S. coal industry. Sir, would you be willing to step in and lend a helping hand by buying one of these companies? I mean, after all, these companies don't have huge market caps anymore. Would you jump in on any one of these three?
Well, at this point in time, we've made the decision tentatively just to be a supplier, because our supplier business, International Auto Components, has already become a pretty big business. It does over $5 billion in sales. We have 23,000 employees in some 17 countries. But we'll see what comes out of the hearings. I certainly don't think that they should make private equity a precondition to this money. These companies need the money, and they need it right away, especially GM and Chrysler. So I think what they should do is give them enough money to get them through, say, March 31st, and between now and March 31st, require them to flush out the real details of the plans they put forward, make sure they pass muster, make sure they accomplish what's needed, and then give them the permanent money once they have done that. And I totally agree with Senator Dodd that the way they should do it is with some sort of oversight, whether it's an individual providing it or a board of some sort. I think there should be monitoring. And I think that's one of the things that was wrong with the way that they provided the help to the banks. It was just a blank check.
Right. Mr. Russell, what about consolidation? You know, we heard that was the topic brought up today, and you had the CEOs of General Motors and Chrysler saying that they would be open to such an idea. You think that is a solution to saving this industry?
Well, I think what the industry needs is to be right-sized for lower volume levels. You can't have an industry that can't make money even at 17 million cars, which was the record amount that we had. Now it's running down around 12.5, 13 million cars. They've got to be right-sized to be profitable down at these levels or at these break-even. Merger is conceivably one way to do that, but whatever they do, it's going to take a combination of sacrifices from all the stakeholders, from labor, and I think Ron Gettelfinger has been very enlightened and very forthcoming, making clear that he's prepared to have labor do its part. But it shouldn't be just on the backs of labor. Stockholders have got to be diluted. Bondholders whose paper is trading at pennies on the dollar should give up their claim, give up that interest burden, and make it into equity. So a wholesale restructuring is needed. And one of the considerations along the way could very well be some sort of merger, or as one of the companies proposed today, perhaps an expanded joint technology center. They've already had some moves in that direction, and that's a good way to avoid duplication of expense.
Right, very good point.
Mr. Ross, thank you very much. Your insights are invaluable to our viewers. Thanks again. Please join us again.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed being here.